All right, it looks like we are live on Facebook. Yay, it worked.
Yay.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is Tuesday Talks. I am Jessica with NAMI Greater Houston, and this week we are going to be speaking with Sarah Gish.
Hi.
What? Hi. So, Sarah, I know you had something you wanted to open with, and then why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so hang on 1 second. You keep talking about Tuesday Talks so I can
Oh,
share the link real quick,
okay.
if
Well,
you don't mind.
this is Tuesday Talks, where every Tuesday we just talk about anything and everything related to mental health. It's a very fun and very casual conversation. So feel free to make comments or put questions in the comments, both on Facebook and we're also on Zoom. So you're welcome to join us there for the conversation. And Sarah is pretty awesome. So she is open to answering any questions that you have, as am I, about the conversation or about NAMI programs and services. You ready for us,
Okay,
Sarah?
yeah, sorry about that. I just want to
No,
post
no.
this so you can see it on Facebook too. Let's make sure that got posted. Okay, I know this is like the technology thing that happens. Okay. It is now live. Okay, so yeah, thank you for having me. So I'm really excited to be here, Jessica, and especially because, as I told you before, um, I have actually gone to NAMI support meetings. So many years ago, when I first was diagnosed with bipolar, and it was really helpful. So I wanted to start out by encouraging people who have not used NAMI services to take advantage of that. And they're online now, right?
That's right. Everything's virtual.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with a joke, not a book, a joke from the Jokelopedia. And what the way I do this is I just flip through here and I just, whatever joke pops out is the joke I say. So here we go. Why did the teacher put rubber bands? Sorry, these always crack me up. Why did the teacher put rubber bands on her students' heads so they could make snap decisions?
That's
These are always
awesome.
like dad jokes, like the really cheesy jokes.
Those
But
are
I
the best ones
find
to me.
that, do what?
So those are the best ones to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I find that during this time, we need to, laugh a little bit or a lot bit. So, anyway, yes, I'm really happy to be here. I can tell you a little bit about myself. Well, first of all, as far as my mental health situation, I am diagnosed bipolar and I am a recovering alcoholic at 35 years, and I'm recovering from bulimia. Also, I was bulimic in college. And I'm really grateful that I am on the other side of mental health issues, although it's always a daily reprieve, right? Um, and then in my working life, I guess you would say, or just my life, I am an artist, a writer, an igniter, I always say, life path guide. I've got a blog called Gish. I love arts and culture in Houston, which is what I write about. And I just do a variety of things. But I'm very open about my mental health and my challenges. I have had challenges throughout my life. And, you and I were talking about when you have mental health, and I always like to call them mental health challenges, not mental illness. But when you have, like myself, mental health challenges, sometimes you need medication and sometimes you don't. And I found in my own situation when I was diagnosed with bipolar, and that happened after my brother died of alcoholism. So that was an epiphany experience in my life. And when I was diagnosed, I had to get on medication. And, that's not for everyone. Some people can do without it or have it for a little while and not. But I found that I needed medication to help with to help balance my bipolar. Bipolar is a disease of balance, speaking of the word balance, and it's really a disease of balance. And so, bipolar, if to break it down, it's, manic and depressive. And I do both pretty well. I do manic a little bit better than depressive if we're going to have a competition. But so I have to be very careful, even medicated, to find balance with my bipolar always kind of in the background. I do go to support group meetings for my alcoholism, and I'm really grateful for that. I really find a lot of resources and comfort in working that. So I wanted to talk today about self-care during this titanic transformation that we're going through. And I was trying to think of a way to call this time period. You know, my friend Deanna calls it holy hiatus, but I like titanic transformation. I always like these kind of dramatic words. You know, you can imagine this huge ship or this huge iceberg or whatever. And we're going through this titanic transformation. And it's a really profound time. It's a time of looking without, looking within, and I can break down a gazillion words. I can break down the word COVID, which actually in Latin means seeing together, co and vid. But for me, the word Titanic is interesting, which I'll just say really briefly. Titans in Greek mythology were the children of Gaia, so Earth, and Uranus, sky. So it's very interesting to me that this really is a titanic transformation, you know, the earth and the sky. In other words, the whole planet is transforming, and it's a great time. It's a great time for healing and all of that, healing outside the earth, the planet, but also healing inside and healing ourselves. And I don't know about y'all, either y'all here or y'all out there listening and watching, but this time has been, for me, especially just because I'm a busy girl. I'm an extrovert, I'm a go-getter, you know, busy. There's been a lot more quiet time, a lot more downtime, and a lot of time to really look within and to kind of uncover everything about myself. And it's been difficult at times. It's been revealing. I've done a lot of journaling. I mean, I normally just get, you know, one journal and it lasts me for 3 years. Well, I have gone through one already, and we're not even done with 2020. So it's just been a really good time of looking within, evaluating relationships and that kind of thing. So self-care in the time of this titanic transformation. One thing that to me, and I'll talk about my art project in a minute, but I think what's really important for all of us is to be aware of our mental health as we go through this, of course. I mean, anytime, you know, be aware of your mental health, but especially during this COVID time, because it's real, you know, it's honest, it's real. I mean, I'm in my house and everything's kind of happy and I'm hanging out with my dogs and all that. And then I go out there and I see people in masks. And to me, just seeing that is traumatizing. Seeing that whenever I go out, and it's depressing and it's sad, and you know, you can do the smizing, you know, smiling with your eyes when you're wearing a mask, but it's not the same, you know, it's not the same. So for me, I always tell people about the suicide prevention Lifeline phone number, which I don't have handy, but I think it's 1-800-272-TALK. And you can find it anywhere. But I actually called them back in May because I really needed to talk to somebody. And I was having a hard time, crying a lot, just really felt unbalanced. And so I called them. And the suicide prevention helpline, I always give a little plug, as I said, is for everyone who is having a crisis, who is thinking about suicide, who just needs someone to talk to. So it's a really good, I really recommend it. Okay, so my Ignite Your Life art project, I wanted to talk about that because there are 12 ways to ignite your life daily. And my project started, it's in honor of my brother who died of alcoholism in 2004, as I said, Jeffrey Gish. And I started it originally just to find out how people ignite their lives. But then I wrote these 12 ways to ignite your life daily, which I'm going to take a moment and just read, because to me, these 12 ways have become even more important during this time period. And also, this time period right now, specifically that we're in, is 7 months into this crisis situation. And it's been documented that at 6 months, people have, they kind of hit a wall. So if any of you out there kind of hit a wall and just felt, like you couldn't pick yourself up off the floor, that's very normal at any time throughout this crisis, but especially at the 6-month point. So 12 ways to ignite your life daily. Trust in spirit, trust. Take care of yourself, nourish. Meditate each morning, meditate. Commune with nature, commune. Listen to your heart, listen. Connect with love, love. Be of service, serve. Allow forgiveness, forgive. Always be grateful, thank. Explore your creativity, create. Learn something new, learn. Enjoy life, laugh. And I read those because I just want those out there everywhere. I want them around the world and back. And to me, during this pandemic, there's 3, like I actually have them set up so it's, the first 4, actually 5 are about connecting to yourself. And then the next ones are about connecting with the world. And trust in spirit is the first one. That's important. Everyone has to kind of figure out what their spirit is and what they can connect to, their higher power. But I really want to talk about the next 3. So nourish, meditate, and commune, because that's the way for me, and hopefully maybe you'll get some ideas to take care of yourself. So nourish means for me, and I hope everybody will have a little convo about that, what it means to you, or self-care, how you do self-care. But nourish for me is getting plenty of sleep. I had a bipolar break in 2007. And during that break, I was actually trying to save the River Oaks Theater. And what happened was I overworked, I didn't get enough sleep, I was in mania, I was go, go, go. And when I went to the NAMI support groups that I learned about balance, how important that is. So get plenty of sleep, make sure you eat a good diet, you get at least 3 square meals. I'm vegan now, and so my body feels really happy and good. And then make sure you exercise daily. Even if you're just walking 10 minutes, every little bit helps, just get outside. So meditation is the second one I want to talk about. So meditate each morning. And I have that written out that way because if you don't meditate in the morning, first thing, a lot of times the day gets by and you haven't meditated. And so meditation in the morning really helps you kind of center your day, give your day an anchor, and just helps you start out in a calm way. So I meditate with my coffee, and I actually am loving this new way of meditating, which is in my hammock. And I highly recommend, I'm not getting any financial commission from saying this, but I do love hammocks. I think they are amazing. And I've been using mine for about a week, and it's really just helped me a lot. So meditate. They say if you meditate 12 minutes or more, it improves your memory and concentration. So it's a really good, if you can meditate at least 12 minutes, but start out at 5 minutes if you have never meditated before. And I've been doing Monday meditation chats on my personal Facebook page, which is /Sarah Gish Houston. So catch me there Monday mornings at around 10, and it's up to 10 minutes. I talk about meditation. And then I also meditate at night. I light a candle, and at nighttime, it's not so much about centering my day or setting the tone for the day, but more about praying for people that are struggling during COVID. So, and I've added a new thing, which is about praying for people that live alone. And because I hear a lot of them really struggling right now. And then the third thing I wanted to mention about self-care during this titanic transformation is nature, commune in nature. And, nature is healing right now. Nature is really happy. I believe that Gaia has put us in a timeout and is just, telling us that we have to take care of the earth. And so when you can just connect with nature, it sounds hippy dippy, but, go hug a tree. We can't hug each other, but we can at least hug trees. You know, grounding is where you step outside and you put your feet on the ground, on the earth, and you just feel the energy of planet Earth. You know, and I have a special place that I go near my house for nature, and there's a labyrinth walk there. I should mention that I love labyrinths as a way to meditate. But yeah, I think communing out in nature, if you can meditate in nature, that's even better. But make sure you spend some time in nature every day. So, so that's kind of my way that I do self-care, and really listening to myself and listening to what is going on. And like I said earlier, you know, journaling, I've been doing a lot of journaling. Journaling is a great way to just connect with yourself and to figure out what is going on, because there's a lot going on inside of us and outside of us. So I was going to open it up. I mean, if people want to talk about or ask questions about, I'd love to hear how people, how they're doing self-care during this time period. I mean, I can't see the Facebook page, but you can, Jessica. I don't know.
So I can see ours. For whatever reason, it's not allowing me to pull up yours, but I usually try to, you know, moderate all of them for questions. Right now, there's just a lot of comments. Kim thanks you for your transparency. And she says that you have some pretty good points. Lots of highs from fellow members. So hi, you guys. But yes, I would actually also love to hear about how everybody is personally taking care of themselves. That self-care is critical. And it's definitely a lesson I've had to learn myself. It's one of those, you know, do what you preach, practice what you preach kind of things, because I talk about it a lot with NAMI, and I do realize how important it is. But lately I've just found that my own cup has just been, you know, been low, running low, because I haven't taken the time to refill myself, to practice that self-care, to make sure that that I am okay and equipped to help others, whether it be through my job here at NAMI, whether it's my personal life. You know, I have two beautiful, beautiful children that take a whole lot of time and attention and energy. So I definitely had to reteach myself about self-care, especially, you know, during the time of pandemic. Kim has mentioned that going to bed early and ensuring to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep is one of the ways that she practices self-care. Kim, I think that is absolutely great and super, super important. Sleep, adequate sleep and good rest is definitely linked with mental health in so many ways. It touches in so many points. So I'm definitely glad that you brought that up. Actually, we have a NAMI friend, Nap Bar. There's an actual place that encourages naps. And
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I know about that place. And I wanted to mention about sleep, because I do have issues with falling asleep. And a friend of mine said, now, Sarah, are you practicing good sleep hygiene? And I'm like, sleep hygiene? I mean, I'm putting on deodorant before I go to bed. Sure. But what she meant was, and this was told to me, I mean, I am not kidding, in 2014, this was told to me. What good sleep hygiene is shutting down screens, you know, shutting down your screens, you know, not having a lot of stimulation, not, you know, getting into toxic conversations. You know, let's not talk about the election at 9 o'clock at night, you know. But do vote. Let's talk about voting at any time. 24 hours. But, you know, and what I want to give a plug is Sunita at the Houston Ayurveda Center, not just necessarily for her place, which is great, but Ayurveda, that practice is, you know, about balance. And she said in 2014, Sarah, turn your screens off at 10 o'clock. And I should do, like, you know, island, you know, what is it, desert island hash marks on how many times I've turned off my computer or my screens at 10 o'clock. You know, it's very rare. It's more now, because I'm really realizing, I mean, I literally, you know, have to give an example real quick, but Saturday night, you know, is Saturday Night Live, and I just really wanted to see it. But it was about 10 o'clock, and I was trying to decide if I was going to watch Saturday Night Live, and I could feel my brain going, are we going to get a hit? Are we going to get some crack, mommy? Because it literally, I mean, it's because I'm really trying to tune in more to my brain. And I was like, no, you're not. I'm going to practice good sleep hygiene. I can watch it tomorrow, during the day,
Exactly.
instead of, staying up till midnight and then trying to fall asleep after a very exciting Saturday Night Live. So, yeah, sleep
That is
hygiene.
important. Another nap bar tip was to try to go to sleep the same time every day. And that includes your naps. Napping regularly throughout the day, if possible, right? Most of us have other commitments during the day that it makes it kind of difficult to squeeze in a 20 or 30-minute nap. But if it's possible, I definitely recommend that you do it and try to do it at the same time every day and try to go to bed at the same time every day. And kind of like you mentioned, shutting down all screens like an hour or so before it's time to bed, and instead maybe read a book or meditation, something less stimulating, but calming to your brain, your mind, your spirit. Because I have a bad habit. So as a single parent, that bedtime after the kids go to bed is your only time to yourself. So, I try to cram in everything that I wanted to do for me in that, 1 or 2 hours, and it stretches out way later than it should. And of course I wake up the next day completely cranky and unrested because I tried to schedule a whole day of me time at 9, 10,
Yes,
11
that's
o'clock
that's
at
the
night.
parent thing. I totally get that, and I remember those days, and it's sad but true. I think about when to market to parents. When should I share my Gish pics? Oh, at 9 o'clock or 9:30, because I know, between 7 and 9 is getting kids to bed, and I remember that so well. I mean, my kids are older and out of the house, but and it's hard. I mean, let's talk about being a mom, what you're talking about with little kids, with kids at home. Oh my God. Kids at home right now during the pandemic, you need to get extra brownie points for that, Jessica, because that's just a really, really, it's a tough time to be a parent, of little kids. And you've definitely got to put your oxygen mask on first, and you can't help them if you're tired mommy or whatever. And I think also what that means too is, okay, maybe they're going to watch a little bit more of Sesame Street, because I need to go lie down for a minute, or, just whatever it takes to make sure we take care of ourselves. We have to, I think you guys, especially you guys being people with young kids, have to really break a few of your parenting rules just to take care of yourself, because it's a 24-hour thing right now, or 12, let's say. I'm sure you're like, yes, they're in bed. I know that.
Actually, Nanette had a comment that she would like to make. Let's see. For some
Oh
reason, my
yes,
audio
hi
got
Nanette.
muted.
Hi, everyone. I'm taking a break. I'm running the command center for the election protection team today. Oh, the whole
Oh,
voting season.
Oh, wow.
It's
wow.
it's different, and we've got some issues going on here in Texas, but we're taking care of
Yes.
it. Most important thing is to get out there and vote. Also on Sunday, we're going to try to show strength in numbers. We're asking all the women to go out and vote on Sunday at 2
Oh,
p.m. We're even extending it for the weekend, because if we can show, hey, this is what women can do. We did this weekend. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go out and vote this weekend. Just do it. As far as the practicing self-care, I've been experiencing a very long journey. And in 2010, I became a widow and I quit sleeping. I had two girls that I single parented until 2018. My baby graduated finally. And I never slept a wink. And even now, I can't sleep. Now, going through all of these different intensive therapy treatments and all that, they give us a lot of tips and tricks. And the thing that I've learned for me is that I'm not an 8 to 5 person. If I go to lay down at 9 o'clock, because that's what normal people do, I'm going to toss and turn regardless, because that's not when I'm asleep. I usually make it on about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. That's just what it is. I can try for more, but I'm good with that. I can function with that. It's when it's several days in a row that I'm not sleeping that it becomes a problem. But I've learned that instead of laying in the bed, tossing and turning and wishing that I was someone else, if I get up and do something productive, I mean, if I clean the house, then I'm tired and I go to sleep in my house. So kind of, making a schedule that works for me and not being forced to live somebody else's schedule.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who decided time. It's a man-made thing. So, that's just my little advice for practicing self-care. If you honor your body and what your body's telling you, it'll take care of you back.
That is great advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Those are
Nanette.
very great points. Thank you for sharing that. And absolutely true. You have to listen to yourself. You know you better than anybody, right? So definitely listen to yourself, listen to your mind, listen to your body, and respond accordingly. Harry had some very interesting comments. Let me go back to them. Harry says, fighting poverty is a major factor in fighting suicide, yet it is very rarely given enough attention. One misstep and I cannot access meds or work to earn enough money to pay for a phone, to work, to pay for meds. I've been poor because I've been sick for 20 years, but there are very few serious resources to help one out of this cycle. And because of this, I've ended up in crisis units 7 times. Fighting poverty is fighting suicide and promoting recovery. I couldn't agree with you more. We actually at NAMI, we have a warm line, which I always related to having warm bodies because we have real life people answering calls and talking to you to help you through whatever specific situation or need that you have regarding resources. But also warm in relation to hot, right? Like Sarah, you mentioned the crisis line. So the warm line is not quite a hotline. It's before you get to that hot level where, you just might need some direction, some support and ear. So NAMI has a warm line. Actually, let me see if I can share that information for those who would like it. I have 1,000 tabs open and can never find the right one in time.
I can look it up while you're talking.
I found it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It's on our website under minority.
So I'd like to add something here.
Yes.
Please do.
And I'm gone. But I agree with Sarah when she was talking about the meditating. It's a really important part of my self-care. That connection with spirit every morning, that quiet time, the beginning of my day, to just center down and find my peace, find my connection, and just spend that time where I'm connected to myself, connected through spirit, is my anchor for whatever else is going on during the day. And I know that when I don't have that self-care for myself, nothing else works. And I completely agree with Sarah that without meditation for me and my connection through spirit, that's like eating for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really appreciate you sharing about that, Sarah. Meditation in the morning, meditation at night to be grateful for the day. And it's a have to be for me. Absolutely.
It's funny.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you very much, first of all, for sharing that. And I think it's something that we can all relate to. I don't take advantage of meditation as often as I should. It's always been hard for me to quiet my mind. So instead of training my mind, of course, I just run from it. I get distracted into something else. But I've heard that specific reference of, putting your own mask on first, maybe 3 times over the past 7 days or less. So I think that's definitely a sign that it's something I need to take in. It's always been something difficult for me to embrace, especially like you said, as a parent, your first thought is I have to take care of my kids, or I have to take care of, my elderly parents, or I have to take care of everybody else around me. So put their mask on first, but you can't help anybody else if you are not in a position to, and you can't be in a position to if you're not pouring into yourself, putting your mask on, and giving yourself the self-care that you need, whatever that looks like.
Well, and I want to mention, just to ping back on Ellen, she is a master meditator. She is awesome. And and I know that for her, that's first. And, sometimes for me, I'm like, let me check something first, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll get to it.
Right.
So that's really important. And I admire that. I also want to mention, it's interesting because I went to a crystal bowl healing. And by the way, those are really awesome events at the Cistern. My friend Samil is doing these crystal bowl healings on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, and they are selling out like hotcakes. But I went and did it, just to have that experience. And, I think it was 45 minutes, and I brought my yoga mat, and I was all, and just really enjoying it. And, there were some people there that I knew, and I got up and I said, so what did you think? And this young woman, I have to say, Jessica, she was around your age, so maybe it's an age thing. But she said, oh my God, that was so hard, because he wasn't like, it was quiet. And so I kept thinking of my grocery list, or my, when do I pick my child up? And it gave me a really good insight. It's kind of like Nanette's gone, but it was kind of like what she said about the sleeping, we each have to set our own, get our own recipe, right? For sleeping, if you go to bed at 1 a.m. and wake up at 5 a.m. and you feel okay, then that's what works for you. For meditation, this young woman said, I'd much prefer led, meditation where somebody, says, okay, now think of a tree, or whatever. And personally, I like both, in the morning, I really like to just, I focus on one word, and then I just kind of do that for about 15 minutes and then do some other stuff. But when I'm falling asleep, I love the spoken word meditation, and I don't know what it is about that. And I actually have a friend who, because it may be just any spoken word, she listens to this woman who does like folding clothes or something. And I thought that was the weirdest thing, but I really get that, because it's like this calming voice saying, now I'm folding this shirt, and I don't know where it is on the web, but one night I was like, oh, I can't sleep. What was that folding clothes lady, but it really, whatever works for you,
Right.
and if it works for you to always do quiet meditation, then go for it. Or, if you always need someone to lead you, do that, And I love what Nanette said about listening to your body, and your body will take care of you. I'm going to steal that. She's not here, so I can steal it. She doesn't have to know.
It's fair game now.
Fair
It's out on
game.
the internet.
Yeah, but it's so true. I mean, I think that, I've seen people, I'm in my 50s, and I see people aging differently, and things that, you hear this, that things you do in your youth will come back, not to haunt you necessarily in your older age, but it will certainly affect how you age. And I really see that. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of my grandma right now, and my grandma lived to be 96, and she took care of us. Well, she didn't do that, but she took care of herself and her body. I mean, she ate crazy healthy, and she exercised, something that we didn't talk about as much, when we're talking about those 3 things that I love: Nourish, meditation, and Commune. The next one, well, there's a couple more, but then one of my ways to ignite your life is connect with love. And for me, it's really important, even just the word connect. I mean, the word for that is love, connected to that. that way to ignite your life. But connection is so important. It's so important to figure out, you know, a way to make sure that you're connected, that you're connecting with people on a daily basis. And, you know, it's just, it's so important. And it's hard right now because hugging, I just love hugging and feeling that connection. And I do heart hugs, you know, where your heart is more on your left side. And so it's hard to not connect, but we have to connect creatively. And I've had to kind of make peace with Zoom. You know, I do a AA meeting on Zoom every, you know, once a week, every Saturday. And I look forward to it, you know, because I will see my friends, and, you know, it's not the same as seeing them in person, but I also don't worry about getting COVID, you know, so there's a balance.
Yeah, you trade one comfort for another sometimes, especially in, you know, situations like this whole entire year where we've had to make concessions. We've had to definitely step out of our comfort zone in a lot of areas, you know, kind of like you and I were talking earlier. This whole being on Zoom and live every week, it's so uncomfortable for me. But if, you know, that's what it takes to reach people that may need to hear about NAMI programs and services, or need to hear about self-care techniques or meditation techniques and some of the other things that we've discussed over the past few weeks, then, you know, here I am. And I am hoping for most of us that we are able to do that, that we're able to step outside of ourselves in a positive way. Although I know many times in many situations it is challenging, you know, especially when it's playing on your very specific fears or anxieties. It's very hard and could cause harm in other ways. So again, it's just so critical to be in tune with yourself and to get the help that you need accordingly.
Well, and I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I want to mention that Zoom is very interesting because here I am on my yellow couch, you know, and normally people wouldn't see my yellow couch, you know, and this is a piece of art I made with my dad, you know, and
Beautiful.
so it's been interesting. Well, thank you, but it's been interesting to see, you know, people's living rooms, or where, you know, you might be in your kitchen. I don't know where you are, or, you know, some people have the background. But I love, it's kind of this intimacy thing. It's kind of like an Airbnb, visual Airbnb, like we're, you know, Airbnb gets you into people's homes, and we're entering people's homes in a different way. So that's kind of interesting. And I want to mention, I can't remember his name, Nathaniel, that was talking about poverty. Is that his name? Nathaniel? Nathan? Something. I really want to acknowledge that, because I think something that this pandemic has shown us is the inequity. What is his name?
Harry Morgan.
Harry. Hi, Harry. Thank you for joining us, because I didn't want to gloss over what you had said. I think it's really important. There's a big inequity in healthcare, in mental health care, and it's unfortunate, and it's coming out more right now. And I actually have, if you go to gishpicks.com, PICKS.com, last week, my blog, I listed not only arts and culture, but also several places that offer free or sliding scale healthcare. And there are a ton of resources in Houston. I'm going to put the NAMI, what do you call it, warm line. I'll put that on my post, and of course your website too, but also the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is 800-273-TALK. I see you put it in the chat. But I want to mention, in honor of that, and poverty and just difficulty in getting good mental health care. I saw the movie Joker with my son that stars Joaquin Phoenix, the most recent one. And I'm a peace, love, hippie girl, you know, no violence in movies kind of thing. But I felt it was really important for me personally to see that movie, because I love Joaquin Phoenix, actually, first of all. And he's the reason I'm vegan. Watch his Academy Award speech from this past February. It's awesome. And of course, some friends were vegan, including Ellen, who was here, so they inspired me. But also I felt I wanted to see it. Well, two good friends had suggested I see it. One is a social worker, and they know my feelings about violence in movies, but they said it was a really good portrait of someone who is suffering from mental health issues and what happens to somebody like that, and how, you know, they take it out. And, you know, you can see, I mean, I don't recommend everyone see that movie, but I'm glad I did personally. And if violence really, really, really bothers you, but you want to know more about it, you could read some articles and reviews about the film. One of the problems with it, of course, was people said, hey, you know, just because you have mental health issues, you're not going to go out and kill people, you know, which is very true. But you could see how the character, God, I've forgotten his name right now, but you could see how he was trying, you know, he was trying to do, he loved stand-up comedy, you know, so he went and did stand-up, you know, a show and got made fun of, you know, and that broke him, you know, it was like daggers. They call those, you know, kind of like daggers when things like that happen. And then he tried to get more medication. It was cut off, you know, no more funding, that kind of thing. And I don't know what Harry has had to deal with, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And even more so now when we're having to be distanced and we can't even, you know, like I remember somebody saying a story I read where the woman said she wanted to commit suicide, and somebody smiled at her in the grocery checkout line, and that just changed her. And she said, hang on, you know, and I'm not trying to say that it's that simple to not kill yourself, because it's not, but something about someone just taking the time to smile at this woman made all the difference in the world. And I'm going to smile right now because it makes a difference. You know, smiling, actually, you know, I have an art card, Phoenix Rising art card. It's a whole nother story, which you can see on my Ignite Your Life website. But the front of it says smile. And, you know, I've been crying in that car before. And so sometimes I'm like, don't read the front. It says smile. I know it does. But, you know, I'm crying. But smiling does change you on a molecular level. You know, it really, it can help you. And even also, I was hearing somebody talk about mental health, and they said sitting up straight. You know, your mother was right. Sit up straight and it changes you. You know, if you sit up straight, here, I'm going to try that again. Sit up straighter, but smile, you know, tell jokes, be goofy, hang out with little children. Little children are a blast, you know, except when you're trying to get them to brush their teeth or go to bed. But because I know you have that, Jessica, I'm sure. But they're so goofy. You know, my neighbors installed their swing on our tree because we've got a really good tree in our front yard. And they're like, do you mind if we do this? And I said, of course, I please do it. I don't mind at all. And now I hear little goofy kids, you know, swinging out in my front yard, which I haven't had in a while. So, yeah, just try to smile and laugh and whatever you can, because, and I'll say one more thing, and that is that we're all in this together. You know, we're all in this together, and we are not alone. And that's what I try to tell people on a daily basis. You are not alone. And I don't know, Nanette's still gone, but I also appreciate what she said about voting, because voting for the candidates that you like can help the amount of money that goes towards mental health care. So that's a really important way. And voting's free, you know, it's free. Unfortunately, in Texas, if you have not registered yet, the deadline is October 5th. But now that Nanette's back, I want to tell her that I am voting on Sunday. So I'm taking my two boys to vote on Sunday. I didn't know it was Women Strength in Numbers Day or whatever, but and I'm posting about voting every day on my Facebook page and Instagram, just to get people excited about voting. So
we actually had a candidates forum a couple of weeks ago where we interviewed a few of the local candidates and talked about, you know, mental health reforms and policies and their takes on them. So those are still on NAMI's Facebook page, I think all except for one, which we were having some streaming difficulties. They're all on NAMI's Facebook page as well as our website. So please go check them out. And also NAMI National has a new website that's specifically devoted to voting for mental health. And I put it in the chat. It's voteformentalhealth.org.
Okay.
So if that's a
Please
passion,
do.
I say definitely go check it out. They have information about different candidates in your area and the legislation that they will be voting on, and kind of, you know, their stance as far as we know about that legislation. But I think that will go a long way in helping issues like, you know, those that Harry spoke about in poverty, education, awareness. I think I saw that they had passed the 988 initiative. I'm not sure if that's nationwide or if that was local, where, you know, we wanted a number similar to 911 that people could call universally for mental health emergencies. And so I believe that is something that was passed and is hopefully in progress for sooner than later, because we definitely need it now. NAMI works with different crisis intervention teams to help train them for responses to mental health emergencies. So when you do have to call, and it's different in certain areas, but when you do call the police, if you have to call 911, be sure to mention that it's a mental health emergency, and hopefully that particular area has crisis intervention teams that are trained to handle them a little differently than you would handle your normal crisis situation, you know, meaning they're more sensitively trained to deal with the nuances of mental health. They're less likely to come in with lights flashing and guns drawn and, you know, screaming, which is only going to aggravate someone who is having a mental health emergency, a break, has been triggered somehow. So definitely check that out, voteformentalhealth.org, and you can kind of see some of the initiatives that are going on nationally regarding mental health legal reform.
I will definitely share that in one of my daily vote posts, because that, to me, you know, it's, again, it goes back to access of services, you know, and I've got great insurance. A lot of people don't, you know, a lot of professionals that I know, people that have their own business don't, you know, it's, I'm very lucky and very grateful. And, but like I said, I mean, the suicide prevention Lifeline, I just want to, you could call them every day if you need to, and they'll talk 24/7, you know, because it really, it's a tough time, you know, it's a tough time right now in the world, for sure.
It's a tough time for the healthiest of people.
Right.
So if you know that, you know, you've had issues in the past and that you have these triggers, and I think you and I mentioned earlier the concept of, you know, the pandemic being traumatic. It's traumatic. Mm-hmm. And so you require a little additional self-care. You require being a little additionally proactive about getting the care, seeking out the care that you need. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know you and I had also talked personally about the stigma related to so much regarding mental illness, mental health, medications, and lots of other avenues that are taken. I love that this generation is less critical about therapy. You know, a couple of generations ago, it was something you didn't really say, you whispered, you know, within the family. It wasn't something said out loud. People were literally sent out of state for mental health care because, so, you know, friends and neighbors wouldn't talk. But this generation, they're much more accepting and much more open to seeking therapy as treatment. So I encourage you all to visit a therapist, even if you feel you are the most mentally healthy person on the planet. What can it hurt? If you have the ability through insurance or some of the free therapy options that are presented through different programs, again, that's something that you can call our resource line and we'd be happy to help you with. Definitely take advantage of it. I read today that Taraji P. Henson's personal mental health organization, the Boris L. Henson Foundation, which is dedicated to mental health specifically for Black men. They are sponsoring free therapy sessions for Black men. So definitely go check it out through that organization if you're applicable, and just take advantage of whatever resources are out there. even if it's nothing but a tune-up or a check-in, you know, just the same way that you would go for a well check to a doctor. Why not go for a well check to a therapist? You may find that you are doing great, and you may find that there are areas where you could use a little bit of treatment, a little bit of improvement. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't care what your homies say. I don't care what you see in movies. Like you talked about the movie Joker, as an organization, NAMI National kind of had to distance themselves. You know, they released a statement from that movie because of the depiction of violence for people who are living with mental health issues or mental illness. Because so often when you hear things like school shootings, you know, or mass shootings, it's blamed on mental health issues, when in reality, people with mental illness are less likely to be violent offenders in those ways. But on the flip side, even though they're less likely to be violent, they're more likely to be arrested and put through the prison system. Harris County Juvenile or Harris County Systems was the largest distributor of mental health care in Texas last year. It was the largest mental health treatment center in Texas. Jail system. That's crazy. So we definitely have some work to do in a lot of areas regarding mental health treatment, regarding stigma, regarding progress. But that's what we're here for. That's why we have these talks. And I like to include clinicians sometimes, and I also like to include people like yourselves who are just kind of regular, everyday, super accessible, but informative people who have the lowdown on therapy and meditation and self-care techniques that are crucial to our success, especially in a pandemic.
Yeah, and I do workshops and classes and talks. I'm a life path guide as well. I help people figure out what ignites their life. So I love sharing what I know. I love, you know, and even just that word ignite, you know, it means a light on fire, and two things have to come together in order to ignite. So it's you with your passion, you know, like I love to make art. I've been making tons of art during this pandemic, and that's one of the things that ignites my life. I love people, you know, so I talk to everybody when I'm out, you know, I talk to the grocery store clerk, you know, the people at the gas station, whatever. I'm very, you know, happy to see people. But yeah, it's really important. And something, you know, this is a whole nother conversation, of course, but I do want to talk about racial justice just for a moment, because I organized a racial justice peace gathering back in July, and we did it on July 2nd, which Thurgood Marshall's birthday. There were some other reasons July 2nd was an important day for us, but I just want to acknowledge that it's hard sometimes. I imagine, I have heard, I'm not going to say I know, to step out your door, you know, outside your door with skin, you know, different skin color other than white. And that's a traumatic thing as well. And I think that as a white person with white privilege, that's something that I'm working on unpacking. But that also has caused a lot of mental health trauma and generational trauma. So we have a long way to go on that. But that's a whole, like I said, that's a whole other topic. But I think it's important, again, you know, looking at voting and looking at even, you know, Kamala, who is our first, you know, Black woman, Indian, Jamaican woman running for office. I mean, how exciting is that, you know? And so we have made some strides, you know, we have done some, but part of this pandemic has also blown all of that wide open too. So I want to acknowledge that. And my mother was a psychologist. So she was a psychologist for 4 decades in Houston. And I think I really, you know, I grew up not studying, but seeing plastic brains in the house. And so I, you know, kind of had this understanding that my mom did something different, and that she, you know, even recently I found a Yelp review from one of her clients from like 2012, and I read it out loud to Mom because we hadn't seen it. She certainly hadn't been on Yelp. She doesn't even do the computer. But I'm grateful that I had that role model of someone who did that on a daily basis, you know, and I kind of channel her when I do my life path sessions. So I just wanted to mention that I'm grateful because there is this stigma out there, and I think it's decreasing, but it's hard for people. So I think if you're in need of mental health care, do it however feels comfortable for you, but just do it. You know, if that means
Just do it.
I'm only
Yeah.
going to phone call, I'm only going to call, I'm only going to talk to a friend, I'm only going to journal. Hopefully, if you just journal, hopefully you can do more than that if it's really serious. But anyway, there's so many different ways to get help.
I agree. And I definitely agree on your assessment about race and mental health, and how it impacts mental health, how it impacts people's ability or likelihood to get treatment, or first to seek treatment and then to receive the appropriate treatment, based on so many situations, so many disparities, kind of like Harry mentioned earlier. So we've come a long way with stigma. We've come a long way in a lot of these issues, but they're still there. And you still have to push and fight forward to get the help that you deserve for yourself. And again, some of these words are triggering for people, because it carries such a negative feeling or negative connotation. Treatment, or therapy, mental illness. A lot of these words can sound really heavy, but you have to compare it to what's important, right? And what's important is that you take care of yourself. Whatever words you want to use to make that help happen, do it. Like you and I mentioned earlier, like mental health concerns, most people are likely to respond positively than mental illness.
Right.
So I definitely noticed that shift in the mental health community, because people, they shy away and move away from the term mental illness, even though in reality, sometimes it is mental illness. Yeah. And you have to treat it accordingly, just like you treat any other physical illness, whether it's, regular migraines or something more serious like cancer. If it's an illness, it needs to be treated. Sometimes it's through medication, sometimes it's just through therapy. It almost always involves a change of your behavior. And you have to be open and willing to do that to better change yourselves. And then, like Harry mentioned, sometimes there are so many other complications that come into factor. Through our warm line, the biggest request that we get is housing. It's the biggest challenge that people are struggling with right now. Like, hey, I just got out of this mental health facility and I have nowhere to go. Or, because of mental health issues, I'm being forced out of my apartment and I don't know what to do. So we unfortunately come across stories like that every day. And there are options and there is help out there. And NAMI is just one of those many, many stops for help. So again, our resource center, not to constantly plug, it's a great place to start to get the help that you need. So I put that information in the Facebook chat. I put the phone number and also the link to the resource page on our website, so that you can also see. The resource page is also really good about breaking down the steps, like, okay, here's where you start, but what happens if it escalates to the next level? Who do I call? What happens if it becomes a crisis? Who do I call? So it's really good about outlining options within Harris County, and the crisis line, the suicide line that we shared is also on that information sheet. So please save it. Keep it close, keep it pinned to your desktop, keep it folded and put it in your wallet if you need it. Even if it's not for yourself, if it's for a colleague or a stranger that you may come across that's obviously in distress and just kind of needs somewhere to go, somebody to listen. NAMI is happy to be that somewhere and that somebody. So it looks like, oh my goodness, we got so carried away with conversation. It's after 2.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was wonderful.
I thought we had a whole another 20 or 30 minutes to go. It's good stuff.
So I also want to give a plug. One thing that I tell people is, if you're not, if you're an addict, get that cleared up first, get that taken care of first, because that's going to stand in the way of any kind of mental health help that you can get. Or if you are addicted to an addict. So I really, love 12-step programs. They're free. As I said, I've celebrated 35 years this past January, and that's no reflection on my hard work or whatever, but it's just a reflection of me embracing support, and me, finding a higher power, and me continuing to go back, because it can't be, as you said, this has to be an ongoing thing. I will always be mentally health challenged. I will always have to, for me, do these 12 ways to ignite your life daily. I mean, literally, I wrote those for me. I didn't write them for y'all. I wrote them for me. But I share them, and they seem to help other people. But I really, it's a daily reprieve. And they talk about that in 12-step programs. We have a daily reprieve. And the other thing that I learned that I love, the concept that is 12-step, but also Buddhist and, mental healthist, is live in the now, stay in the now. All we have is 24 hours. All we have is today. And particularly, and, I've lived through the feelings of feeling suicidal. I haven't gotten to the point of no return with that, but I have gotten pretty close to the edge. And if you can just hold on, for 24 hours, if you can take it 1 minute at a time, that stay in the now idea is really good. And I think we have to close, but I just want to say that also, to me, mental health is about becoming who you were meant to be, becoming who you truly are, and finding what ignites your life, finding where do you want to live? Do you like arts and culture? I mean, for me, one of the hardest things during this pandemic is that the performing arts are shut down. I can't go to the theater. I can't laugh. I can't cry. I can't hear live music. I can't even go to Miller Outdoor Theater. They're closed through the end of December. It's just arts feed my soul, and I can't do that. And that's for me. Maybe for some people, I know a lot of introverts have a different reaction to this pandemic, and they're loving the time to read books and, watch some more TV shows or whatever. But we each have to find, I think it's our life's purpose. We're put here on this planet to find who we are, to figure out who we are, what ignites our life, how to create connections, and just to love ourselves, just love ourselves fiercely, because that's what's going to carry us through, is loving ourselves and having a connection to something, greater than ourselves, whether that be, nature. I mean, I can guarantee that none of us knows how to create trees, knows how to create, grass, make grass grow. There is something bigger than us out there. And so if we can just fully embrace who we are, fully embrace what has brought us into life and what has sustained us, and then also fully embrace connecting to each other.
Awesome. I think that was very, very well said. Well, I'm going to leave you all. If you have any more questions for Cheryl, I'd be happy to pass them along. I will put my email address, unless you'd like for me to put your email address directly, Cheryl. I did put your...
Oh, yeah, that's fine. It's Sarah, Sarah, at Gish, Gish, creative.com. And also, if people want to know more about my Ignite Your Life art project, I will put that, igniteyourownlife.com, just put that in the chat. And then Gish Pics, where you can get my blog, and also where you can see that mental health blog that I did. That's at gishpics.com, PICKS.com.
I think I added Gish Pics already. Just hadn't added Ignite Your Own Life. So let me put that in the Facebook.
Thank you so much.
We'll go. Again, thank you everybody for joining us and for your participation. That's probably my favorite part is when, people who are viewing are able to input their
Their thoughts,
input.
their ideas, their words.
Yeah, they're able to share their
That's how we heal, right? Is through connection.
Absolutely.
Talking.
And also as a reminder, as Sarah mentioned in the beginning, all of NAMIC Greater Houston's support groups and educational programs are online now, so they're completely virtual. So we don't have as many of the limitations as we had before. They're much, much more accessible. So please go to our website and click on support groups and educational programs, whichever one that you're interested in. And there should be an email address or a form for you to fill out, and we will get back to you. So thank you so much, Sarah, for your time. I've greatly appreciated our conversation and I've enjoyed it. And I can't wait to talk to you more soon.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see people in person soon. So
I know.
Soon-ish, right?
It's going to be a thing. It's coming.
I know it is coming. Well, take care. Thank you everybody who listened and joined in. And I really appreciate being able to share my story.
Yes,
Thanks.
same thing with everybody. We will see you guys next Tuesday at 1:00 where we will just be talking. So see you then.
Talk is good. Bye.
Bye, you guys.